Hello and welcome back to the rundown on Women's Football Talk. Now before we get into this week's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel with the post notification bell turned on so you never miss a video of ours, and that you're following us on Twitter and on Instagram for all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football as and when it happens. So we have FA Cup action here in England this weekend, as well as Cup action over in France and the league action elsewhere. So let's have a look at the weekend's fixtures here in the Women's FA Cup. So first up, at 12:30 on Sunday, we have Championship side Lewis against Manchester United. Now, Lewis are the lowest ranked side left in the competition, which is absolutely fantastic to see a Championship side of their size and calibre be in the quarterfinals. Obviously, Manchester United are going to be heavily favourites in this one, and you'd expect them to do well there, despite having to travel away. Then we have a clash between Birmingham City and Brighton and Hove Albion at 2 p.m, as well as Reading versus Chelsea at 2 p.m, and then the evening kickoff is Aston Villa versus Manchester City. So some fantastic ties to look forward to. Obviously, as we get towards the latter stages of the tournament, we find out who are the serious teams and who are the pretenders in the tournament. Now, in terms of who you'd say are the three favourite sides left in the tournament, it's obviously Chelsea and the two Manchester clubs. Can an upset be done this weekend? 100% it could be. Don't write it off the walls here. I mean, especially if we look at Aston Villa versus Manchester City back in the league. Manchester City drew with Aston Villa back in January, and Aston Villa took points off them, all 3 points off them at the first game of the season back in September. So Carla Ward's side definitely know how to get the better of Gareth Taylor's Manchester City. So it's going to be interesting to see what lineup we'll see from both sides. Obviously, the week after we have Women's Football Weekend here in England, so there is a week in between fixtures for both sides, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. The other games, Chelsea-Reading, again, you'd expect Emma Hayes' side to get the comfortable victory there, although if you flip back to December when the two sides played, Chelsea very lucky to get a victory there, despite what should have been ruled out for an offside goal in that one. So Chelsea will be heavily favoured in it, but don't rule out Reading whatsoever in that one. And then the other games, Brighton versus Birmingham, I would expect to be a really close game between them two, and then Manchester United, like I said at the start, should be heavily favoured travelling to Lewis in that one. Now, we have had one midweek game here in the WSL in England, and that was Tottenham playing Leicester City on Wednesday evening. It was the first game Spurs have played since Rhian Skinner was sacked earlier on in the week, and Spurs managed to break their duck of 9 games without a win by beating Leicester City 1-0, with Bethany England scoring an absolute spectacular goal to give Spurs a very crucial 3 points in that one to help them in their bid for survival and move them up to 9th place in the WSL. So it's very close between Spurs in 9th and Leicester in 12th place. It's only a couple of points separating the bottom sides, so it's going to be a very, very interesting run-in now for the rest of the season. So over in France, like I said, we also have Coupe de France action. This evening we have Lyon versus Fleury at 4:30, and then on Saturday it is Paris versus Tournon-Evian for a place in the final, which will take place in May. Again, Lyon and Paris Saint-Germain should be heavily favoured. Lyon news this week. They announced that Danielle van der Donk has signed a new deal until 2025, so good to see van der Donk stay there. Obviously, she missed quite a lot of last season due to injury, but she's been very constant under Sonia Bonpasta's side. And speaking of Sonia Bonpasta, the club announced that she has also signed a contract extension to remain at the club until 2025 as well, along with her assistant Camille Abili. So both Bonpasta and Abili, as well as van der Donk, staying at the club until 2025. Alright, let's have a look at the rest of the European fixtures then, and one game tonight here in Spain, and that is Barcelona versus Valencia, and then a couple on Saturday, including Real Madrid playing Granadilla Tenerife and Sevilla playing Real Betis, with the rest of the games taking place on Sunday. Over in Germany, one game tonight as Wolfsburg take on Turbine Potsdam, top versus bottom. It should be an easy win for Tommy Struth's Wolfsburg side as they look to extend their lead at the top of the Bundesliga. And then Bayern Munich don't play until Saturday when they travel to Cologne, with the rest of their games taking place on Sunday in Germany. We have the Italian League back as well tonight, so after a while away with the cup action and other stuff. So it's the start of the playoff round, so we have Fiorentina versus AS Roma starting tonight, and then a lot of the games taking place on Saturday. So we have Sassuolo versus Sampdoria and Juventus versus AC Milan, and then the final game on Sunday, Pomigliano versus Parma, and then we have more set of games next week going forth there as they enter the key part of the season there in in Italy. And there is no action in league form in the Netherlands this week. So again, I believe it is cup action there, so that is why we have no league action. And then next week we'll be looking ahead to the Champions League as well, so that's all to come over the next couple of days. And obviously we're just a week or so away from the return of the NWSL over in the States side. We'll have coverage of that as well here on the channel and on our socials. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the perfect notification bell so you never miss a video of ours, and that you're following us on Twitter and Instagram for all the latest news and stories as and when it happens. And in the meantime, we'll see you next week.